Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Just an announcement. Friday's bonus show will have a beer recommendation. Just a heads up. I think I'm going to try to do that every Friday on every Friday's bonus show. We'll see how it goes. No promises. I'll try. People are outraged over a game of beer pong brought to us by a bunch of Florida teenagers called Jews versus Nazis. I guess after some of these kids took pictures of it, it went completely viral over the internet, and people are outraged. Basically, you take your normal beer pong setup, and one side uses red cups arranged into the shape of a swastika. The other side makes a Star of David with blue cups. Okay, pretty simple. I'm not outraged at this. Right off the bat here. I guess the Nazis start off the game with blitzkrieg, with each Aryan player shooting freely into the Jewish cups until one misses. Jews are allowed to designate an Anne Frank cup that can be removed from the table and hidden anywhere in the room to balance out that unfair advantage. The Nazi team has the right to call Auschwitz, meaning one Jewish player is selected to sit out. Also, throughout the game, you're supposed to talk lots of shit and say as many racist things as possible to make it more enjoyable. So, okay, that part maybe is a little insensitive and ridiculous. As far as the special rules, I don't know. That doesn't offend me. I'm Jewish, and that doesn't offend me. But what offends me more than anything is that it is much harder for the Jews to hit all the cups because of the shape of the swastika. You see, there's it's all just lines of cups.
Yeah, Louis, this is all completely offensive.
Hold on. There are no clusters of cups, whereas the Star of David is all clusters of cups, making it much easier to hit the cups. Is it offensive to come up with this ridiculous game? I mean, and have these special rules with different names and things associated with World War II and the Holocaust?
Listen, we're not saying that these people are necessarily going to go out and try to kill Jews, but if you had niggers versus slave owners, if you had fags versus straights, it's offensive. It's of course offensive. And, these kids clearly don't know what they're doing. Most of these probably don't even understand what's going on. There's a period in many kids' lives where it's cool to be racist or it's almost like being counterculture, and being racist or homophobic is seen as kind of equally cool. And that's clearly what's going on here. Of course it's offensive. And is this a crime? Should anyone go to jail? No, of course not. But it's obviously offensive and completely insensitive.
Well, like I said, I'm not offended. I think it's just kids being stupid. But I don't know. I think the outrage is kind of unnecessary.
I mean, you don't have to be outraged. It's clearly offensive. It's clearly insensitive. These kids have no idea what they're doing. If they were adults and word leak, let me put it this way. If you were involved in this game, let's say Brendan Ike, instead of making an anti-gay donation, had been involved in pictures playing Jews versus Nazis, beer pong, or, whatever, niggers versus slave owners or fags versus whoever, right? If it would have been grounds for removing him completely from Mozilla, because it would have been part of the free market of ideas, and you just don't want anybody involved with your association that's doing that. But they're kids, yeah.
But I would ask you here, what racist term has been used in their description of the game?
Well, that's look at Donald Sterling. Donald Sterling didn't use the N-word. He used no racist term. He didn't say coon. He didn't say anything like that. Would you argue that Donald Sterling wasn't racist because the terms used weren't racist? Of course not. Exactly. So you don't need specific words, right? You don't need to use the word fag to be anti-gay. In fact, some of the most anti-gay statements I've ever heard have no insults. In fact, they sound just like somebody innocently repeating Bible scripture. It's still anti-gay,
All right. There it is. There's our point of view on Jews versus Nazis beer pong. I'll stick with regular beer pong. Just saying. Clay Aiken. If you don't know who Clay Aiken is, he won American Idol, right?
You know,
He
I,
was
I I think he came in second, but then became more popular than whoever it was that came in first. I don't know.
maybe that's it. I don't know, but he is the winner of a Democratic congressional primary in North Carolina. He won by fewer than 400 votes. Um, Strangely, one day after his chief opponent died, uh, suddenly and seemingly randomly. Um, but of course, North Carolina, as we know, is pretty crazy, pretty red. And does Clay Aiken have a shot? That's what I want to know. Because, like I've said before, I think it's important for celebrities who want to be politically active to use their celebrity to try and win elections. Because unfortunately, I think that's just the point we're at, where you probably are not going to have a normal Democrat who hasn't been on TV and in the headlines who is going to win a congressional seat in North Carolina, at least not easily, right?
Yeah, I don't. I'm in touch with one of his communications person or something. They send stuff out all the time, which suggests that Clay Aiken could win. But obviously, your own campaign should think you can win. Otherwise, you have a little bit of a problem. I'm reminded of Al Franken, who started off as a celebrity, a person in popular culture, and then became a senator. And he's actually one of the better senators in terms of, aside from what you think of his personal politics, he tries to read all the bills. He's engaged. He's closer to someone who is really representing the views of his constituents. And, I don't know what's going to happen with Clay Aiken here, but certainly it's interesting. And the idea that there definitely are many celebrities who could win elections. The issue is how many of them would be running in liberal states, right? Like people say, oh, Ben Affleck should run. It's like, yeah, Ben Affleck should run, but where? In Massachusetts, where he's from, or California? What's kind of the point there? Unless you can really unseat a Republican. That's why it was interesting when, I don't remember what actress it was, and looking at running against Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. I forget the name of the actress. But anyway, that's more interesting to me.
Right. Yeah, that was a good one. And with Al Franken, he wasn't running the race was not in a red state, so he had, I guess, a little bit easier of a time than he would in North Carolina. Also, I'm pretty sure Clay Aiken is gay.
Clay Aiken is gay, yeah, and that has also been it's been not in any of the official communications from his campaign, but it's been in a lot of the articles, and he has an uphill battle in North Carolina. There's no question about it.
Yes. But very curious to see what happens there. Curious to see if his celebrity can win him this election. He won the primary. Good stuff, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about his views politically, but I imagine they'd be somewhat in line with mine. Here's a despicable story. Apparently, Sandy Hook truthers are still around. This is still a thing, David.
I heard about this story. It is crazy.
Yeah. A playground in Mystic, Connecticut, was dedicated to a girl who was killed during the massacre. And I guess it was vandalized by truthers who, of course, are insisting that the shooting never happened. And there was a vinyl sign that was stolen. It had a peace symbol, and I guess it was based on a drawing the girl did. And the mother found out about all of this and obviously was pretty upset. This is basically like the truthers telling this mother who lost her child that her child never even existed.
Yeah, it's completely nuts. I was reading a bunch of stories about this. There are some elements that are just loving this, right? Some of the same elements that criticized our debunking of Sandy Hook conspiracy theories. They're saying, hey, they're absolutely right to make this as visible as possible, that this was all a farce, false flag attack, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing that this can happen. And then there are actually, they're relatively small, but they exist, groups of people that are loving it. They think this is a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel pretty bad for the mother. But what are you going to do? These fringe groups are always going to exist. I just can't believe they're still going at it. I mean, what is the goal here? Are they one day going to convince the entire country somehow that this shooting never happened? Is that what they think is going to happen, because I think you'd agree with me. If they think that they're going to achieve that, they're completely insane.
Well,
right?
if they believe that once some really good evidence that's out there but it's hidden is uncovered, that could convince everybody, right? And you could actually, if you buy into the internal logic, yes, it's true. For people who don't believe in a certain conspiracy theory, if you were able to find that smoking gun, a lot of people would come over to your side. There's no question about it. The problem is, are they really going to find that? And the answer seems to be no. I mean, look at the John F. Kennedy conspiracy theories. There are still people who believe that any day now or soon or at some point in the future, there's going to be this big smoking gun, and I don't know if there is.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me a little bit. I just watched this documentary called The Devil Came on Horseback. It's from 2007. It's about the genocide in Darfur, and about the guy who kind of spearheaded the whole campaign to tell the world about what was happening there. He took lots of pictures. There really weren't many pictures or much video evidence of what was going on there. And he went to a forum. He was showing pictures. He was talking to people about it. And there were basically three plants in the audience. And one of them said, I'm from this country. These pictures are out of context. I think you're making this up. And there were two other people who were plants who were just completely denying that it ever happened. Of course, a little bit different. It's kind of the reverse situation when you have a government committing genocide. These people are saying that what the government is doing never happened. And in this case, we're saying, these idiots are saying that this shooting never happened and that the government made it up. But kind of interesting. Anyway, I'd recommend everyone watch The Devil Came on Horseback. Crazy, incredibly depressing, fascinating stuff. So is Sandy Hook. Very depressing. That's the world we live in.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.